When a self-absorbed neighborhood association president stomps onto your private ranch and threatens to have your working animals illegally impounded or put down, most homeowners panic. But when those massive, disciplined German shepherds aren't just ordinary pets, when they are retired, tactical-grade federal and municipal police K9s trained to respond to specific threat commands, that is when a suburban power trip turns into a terrifying federal mistake. Hit that subscribe button right now, because watching an entitled HOA tyrant realize that her vicious threats against elite law enforcement animals have triggered an immediate criminal trespassing investigation is the most satisfying piece of neighborhood karma you will ever witness. My name is Wyatt. For 12 years, I served as the tactical handler for the state's elite K9 tactical unit. When I retired and moved out to a secluded acreage bordering the aggressively manicured Whispering Pines subdivision, I brought my 4 retired partners with me: Titan, Aries, Ghost, and Echo. They weren't just dogs. They were decorated veterans who had cleared dangerous buildings, tracked dangerous fugitives, and saved human lives. Enter Brenda Vance, the neighborhood's militant HOA president. Brenda despised anything that didn't look like a plastic lawn flamingo. She claimed my working-class ranch disrupted the pristine, sterile aesthetic of her suburban empire. When her nasty compliance letters and petty fines were ignored, Brenda decided to take matters into her own hands. She marched right past my security gates, uninvited, storming up to my porch, while Titan and Aries stood watch. And that is when she made the biggest mistake of her life. Brenda Vance stood on my front porch, her face twisted in absolute disgust, as she pointed a manicured finger right at my chest. "I have warned you 3 times, Wyatt. Those oversized, vicious beasts are violating neighborhood bylaws, and if I see them loose on this property one more time, I am calling county animal control to have them hauled away and put down permanently." Hit that notification bell right now, because watching Brenda discover that she had just threatened federally protected law enforcement veterans is a moment you cannot afford to miss. I didn't flinch. I slowly set my coffee mug down on the porch railing and looked past her toward the perimeter fence where Titan and Aries stood at absolute attention. They weren't barking or snarling. Their posture was dead silent, hyper-focused, and disciplined, the exact trademark demeanor of elite tactical K9s awaiting a handler's cue. "Brenda, you are currently trespassing on federal buffer property," I said, my voice dropping into a cold, level register that made her pause mid-rant. "And those animals you just threatened are retired police veterans with active municipal service records." Brenda let out a shrill, mocking laugh, tossing her blonde hair back. "Police dogs, please! This is a residential community, not a military base. You don't scare me with your little rescue mutts, and by tomorrow morning, I'm having the county impound every single one of them." She spun around on her high heels, marching back down my gravel driveway while pulling out her cell phone to dial. She thought she was making a power move. She had no idea she was dialing her own professional destruction. By 9 a.m. sharp the next morning, the heavy rumble of county vehicles echoed down our private access road. 2 local animal control vans rolled past my security gate, flanked by a marked county sheriff's cruiser. Brenda Vance had clearly pulled every string in her local playbook, because stepping out of the front passenger seat with a triumphant smirk was none other than Brenda herself, holding a clipboard like a badge of absolute authority. I stepped off the front porch just as the officers approached the perimeter. Hit that subscribe button right now, because watching the lead sheriff's deputy instantly recognize who I was, and what those dogs actually represented, is a plot twist Brenda never saw coming. "Mr. Callahan, County Animal Control and Code Enforcement," the lead officer called out, his voice echoing off the metal siding of the barn. "We have a court-backed impound warrant for vicious, unlicensed animals on residential perimeter land." Complainant states. Before the officer could finish reading the standard compliance warning, he looked past my shoulder and stopped dead in his tracks. His eyes locked onto Titan, who was sitting upright by the porch stairs, wearing a faded tactical harness bearing municipal service patches. The deputy's expression instantly drained of color. He slowly lowered his clipboard, turned his head, and stared hard at Brenda Vance with a mixture of disbelief and absolute fury. "Ma'am," the deputy said, his voice tightening into a razor-sharp warning. "Did you say these were just unlicensed rescue mutts?" "Yes, officer. Look at them," Brenda shrilled, stepping forward with her clipboard and thrusting her finger toward Titan and Aries. "They are dangerous, aggressive livestock beasts terrorizing our pristine neighborhood. Execute the warrant right now and haul them away before someone gets hurt." The lead deputy didn't move an inch toward the dogs. Instead, he slowly closed his clipboard, let out a long, heavy sigh, and turned back to face Brenda with a gaze carved out of pure ice. "Ma'am, do you have any idea whose property you just dragged the county sheriff's department onto?" the deputy demanded, his voice echoing across the open yard. Brenda blinked, her triumphant smirk faltering for a fraction of a second. "What does that matter? They're violating association code." "Those aren't just pets, Ms. Vance," the deputy shot back, stepping between her and the porch. "That is Titan, K9 Unit 4, and Aries, K9 Unit 9. They are decorated, federally protected service animals who retired with full municipal honors after saving 3 state troopers' lives during a high-risk warehouse raid 5 years ago." The color drained entirely from Brenda's face. Her mouth dropped open, but no sound came out. "Furthermore," the deputy continued, tapping his badge, "Mr. Callahan's acreage is legally designated as a federal working animal sanctuary. Under state and federal law, threatening, harassing, or attempting to illegally impound retired police K9s isn't a civil HOA dispute. It's a federal felony offense." Brenda's knees buckled slightly as the crushing weight of her federal and municipal overreach finally collapsed her entire world. A felony?" she whispered, her voice trembling into absolute nothingness as she stared at the decorated service harness on Titan's chest. "Attempting to seize working law enforcement veterans under fraudulent neighborhood pretexts," the deputy replied, his voice unyielding. "You're lucky. Mr. Callahan hasn't pressed charges for federal interference and criminal trespassing right on the spot." Realizing that her tyrannical HOA reign had just blown up in her face with devastating legal consequences, Brenda scrambled backward, stammered an incoherent apology to the officers, and scrambled into her car, fleeing down the driveway, in total disgrace. Within 48 hours, an emergency neighborhood meeting was called, and terrified residents unanimously voted to strip Brenda of her presidency and dissolve her aggressive enforcement committee. As for my loyal partners, Titan, Aries, Ghost, and Echo still patrol our ranch every single morning, basking in the warm sun with the dignity and respect they earned serving our country. Down below, the residents of Whispering Pines finally learned an unforgettable lesson about suburban entitlement. Never threaten a man's working animals, especially when those animals served the badge long before an HOA Karen ever tried to write a ticket.